I never planned to tell this story out loud, but some moments in life don't let you stay quiet. They sit in your chest heavy until you either speak or break. So, yeah, here it is. This is about the day I was invited to a luxury wedding as a joke, and how that joke exploded in everyone's face. At the time, my name was Evelyn Moore, and according to most people in that glass and steel office tower, I was invisible. I cleaned floors before sunrise, wiped fingerprints off doors that never seemed to stay clean, and pushed a cart that rattled just loud enough to remind me I didn't belong there. People walked past me like I was furniture. Not rude exactly, just absent. You learn something when you're ignored like that. You hear everything. You hear who's afraid of getting fired, who's cheating on who thinks they're untouchable. And you also learn when to keep your eyes down because looking the wrong person in the eye can turn into a problem real fast. That's how I learned about Lillian Cross. Perfect hair, perfect smile, engaged to the company's golden boy CEO. People whispered her name like it carried weight, and they weren't wrong. She had a talent for smiling while cutting you open. One afternoon, she stopped right in front of my cart, looked me up and down, and said loud enough for her friends to hear, "Be careful with that floor. It costs more than your entire life." They laughed. I swallowed. Rent doesn't care about pride. Then she pulled out an envelope. Thick paper gold lettering, the kind of thing you don't touch unless you're used to nice things. She waved it like a toy. "My wedding is this weekend," she said. "Black tie. You should come." Her friends giggled. One of them added, "Just don't wear your uniform. People might think you're staff." I knew it wasn't kindness, it was bait. And still, I took the envelope and said thank you. Calm, polite. That confused her more than anger ever could. That night in my tiny apartment that smelled faintly of detergent and old coffee, my daughter Mia read the invitation and didn't sugarcoat it. "Mom," she said, "they want to embarrass you." She was right. If I didn't go, I'd feel like I agreed with them. If I did, they'd laugh. I stood there staring at my reflection, seeing a woman life had been pushing around for years, and something old stirred inside me. I opened a box I hadn't touched since before everything fell apart. Inside were reminders of who I used to be. Photos, documents, proof that I wasn't always the cleaner people saw. I once ran a nonprofit. Scholarships, food programs, real work. Until money vanished, my name got dragged through headlines and one man disappeared, leaving me holding the shame. His name was Daniel Crow. I hadn't said it in years. Seeing Lillian's last name on that invitation made my stomach tighten. Crow. Same family. That wasn't a coincidence. I called the one person I'd avoided out of embarrassment. Rachel. She answered like no time had passed. When I told her about the invitation, she didn't laugh. She said, "If they want a show, we'll give them one." Rachel showed up the next morning like a storm in heels, took one look at me and said, "We're not dressing you to impress. We're dressing you to remind them." The day of the wedding, my hands shook, but I stood straight. The venue was ridiculous. White flowers, security everywhere, cars worth more than my apartment building. When I stepped out, conversation slowed. Not because I was loud, but because I looked like someone they should know. Lillian saw me and froze. Her smile cracked for half a second. She walked over, laughed too loud, and said, "Wow, you really cleaned up." I looked at her and said, "So did you." People laughed, not the way she wanted them to. Then an older man approached me, eyes wide. "Evelyn Moore," he asked, "from the Bright Path Foundation." The air shifted. Heads turned. Phones came out. He spoke about my parents, my work, and then he said it. "You didn't steal that money. Daniel Crow did." Silence. Absolute silence. The CEO, Marcus Hale, stepped forward, confusion written all over his face. He looked at Lillian. She looked away. And then Daniel Crow himself was spotted trying to slip out the back. Security brought him forward. He didn't apologize. He shrugged and said, "You trusted me." That hurt more than yelling ever could. The truth unraveled fast. Documents, signatures, connections. Lillian's family had covered for him, protected him, and she knew. That invitation wasn't a joke. It was a warning. When Marcus realized what he'd married into, he stopped the ceremony. Right there. People gasped. Lillian ran. Daniel was taken away. I wish I could say it ended neatly, but life doesn't do that. I got threats. They mentioned my daughter. Fear came back heavy and cold. But something was different this time. I wasn't alone, and I wasn't hiding. The case reopened. My name started clearing. Slowly. Painfully. But it did. Months later, I stood in a small room reopening my nonprofit. No fancy lights, just real people. I looked at Mia and thought about how close I came to believing I was nothing. I wasn't then. I'm not now. So, here's why I'm telling you this. Because the people you ignore have stories. Because humiliation says more about the person giving it than the one receiving it. And because sometimes the quietest person in the room is carrying the loudest truth. Now, tell me what you think. Was it right to go to that wedding? Was it justice or just chaos catching up? Have you ever seen someone judged before? Anyone knew their story? Drop your thoughts. Argue if you want, and if you've lived something like this, tell it. Let's talk about it.